of spring, of the joy. This is all a big misunderstanding.
What am I paying you for?
My favorite, personally.
That fucking knife!
Our home to our neighbors.
The children! Talking about!
You said you get money now, Dan.
Boss.
At the convention?
Operator will assist you.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Take him out.
Copy.
Open fire!
Hey, Wyatt, meet me at the pool. Hey.
Dials, man!
It's up.
Hey, man.
Protect Sammy!
I took his head. Machete to a
The fucking leg.
Just hold that on there.
Thanks.
Who sent you?
Making memories.
You know, I can matter because... Well, I was on the beach. Oh, did. You're gonna... Cause... Take him out. I'm bored. Lay down, an asshole. First of all... With a mama bear.
And stop! Fuck!
The Mansell's vacation.
Yeah.
Sir, I cannot do that. Yes, sir. Keys.
Hey guys, today we are diving headfirst back into the glorious, bone-crunching world of Hutch Mansell with our recap of Nobody 2. If you thought he was done after the first one, well, you clearly don't know Hutch. He tried the quiet life again, bless his heart, stirring his coffee and pretending that mildly annoying was his biggest daily challenge. But let's be real, some people are just built for more. Aggressive negotiations, shall we say? If you like this sneak peek, hit the like button and subscribe. It's the best way to support the channel and let me know you want more. Our story kicks off with a familiar hum of suburban discontent, but it's quickly shattered when a local pawn shop, a veritable museum of things nobody needed until now, gets targeted by a couple of amateurs. You know the type: ski masks, nervous energy, the whole 9 yards. They burst in, making enough noise to wake the dead, and attempt to intimidate the owner, a man named Marcus. Marcus, a seemingly unassuming gentleman with an uncanny resemblance to a seasoned chess player, calmly tells them to rethink their career choices. The thieves, predictably, don't listen, which is usually where the fun begins. The air practically crackles with impending regret as one of them lunges, only to find Marcus is less of a pawn and more of a rook with a devastating uppercut. The sounds of breaking glass quickly give way to the more percussive sounds of breaking bones, a beautiful symphony for the discerning ear. It's a quick, brutal ballet where every misstep by the robbers leads to a perfectly executed counter by Marcus, who moves with an almost supernatural grace. He disarms one with a flick of the wrist, using their own weapon against the other in a move so smooth, it's practically liquid. You can almost hear the oops from the guy getting introduced to the business end of his own crowbar. He leaves them crumpled, a stern lecture about poor life choices ringing in their ears, but not before noticing a small, almost imperceptible scar on the lead thief's hand, a detail that will, of course, become incredibly significant later, back at home. Hutch is trying to embrace his inner DIY enthusiast, battling a leaky faucet with the tenacity of a man trying to forget he once disarmed a dozen armed men with a stapler. It's a battle, honestly, that looks far more frustrating than any global conspiracy. Then his burner phone, the one he keeps in a sock drawer next to the emergency bourbon, rings. It's an untraceable number, which in movie language translates to "your quiet life is officially over." The caller, a distorted voice, merely states, "The collector is back now." Hutch has heard that name before. A whispered legend from his auditor days. Someone who cleans up the messes left by other messes, but with a particularly nasty, artistic flair for human discomfort. His face, which was moments ago contorted in plumber's frustration, instantly shifts. The lines deepen, the eyes sharpen. It's the face of a man who just remembered where he buried the bodies. He doesn't speak, just listens, every nerve ending humming with an unwelcome familiarity. The caller hangs up, leaving Hutch in the deafening silence of his perfectly ordinary kitchen, holding a wrench like it's a relic from another lifetime, which, in a way, it is. The faucet drip, which was so annoying moments before, now seems like a mocking TikTok, counting down to his inevitable return to form. Remember Marcus, our surprisingly agile pawn shop proprietor? Well, his moment of glory was unfortunately short-lived. Turns out the amateurs he dispatched were just the appetizers. A much more professional and decidedly less polite group of individuals rolls up to his shop. These guys don't smash display cases. They dismantle entire security systems with surgical precision. Marcus puts up a hell of a fight, using his environment like a martial arts master on a really bad caffeine binge. Every antique, every trinket, a potential weapon. The clang of metal on metal, the splintering of wood, the grunts of exertion, it's all there, a symphony of chaos. But even a seasoned operator like Marcus eventually gets overwhelmed by sheer numbers and a particularly nasty stun baton. He's dragged, rather unceremoniously, to a grimy warehouse, tied to a chair with industrial-grade zip ties that look like they could hold a small car. His captors are led by a woman with eyes that could freeze a volcano. Known only as the Enforcer, she demands information about the cash, a legendary stash of illicit funds and intel that Hutch's old organization, the company supposedly hid. Marcus, despite a rapidly forming bruise collection, remains stubbornly silent, offering only a sarcastic chuckle that sounds suspiciously like a death wish. The tension in the room is so thick you could cut it with a dull butter knife. But Marcus just radiates an aura of "you really don't want to do this." The enforcer, however, is clearly a hold my beer kind of person. The call about the collector being back, combined with a frantic, garbled message from Marcus's emergency beacon, sends Hutch into high gear. The quiet suburban dad outfit is swapped for his more appropriate, ready-to-cause mayhem attire: a dark hoodie, a tactical vest under a worn jacket, and boots that have seen things. He's back in his element, which, surprisingly, is a derelict urban landscape where every shadow seems to whisper a forgotten brawl. The rhythmic patter of rain on concrete, the distant wail of sirens, the unsettling silence of forgotten alleyways, it's a soundtrack to a life he thought he'd escaped. He moves like a phantom, his senses alive to every creak and rustle. He's not just looking for clues. He's reading the city, deciphering the silent language of its underbelly. He finds Marcus's pawn shop, now a scene of utter devastation, the front door hanging precariously on one hinge, glass shards sparkling like malevolent diamonds. The air smells of ozone and something faintly metallic. He spots a discarded cigarette, but a specific brand, only smoked by a certain type of mercenary. Bingo. It's like a twisted scavenger hunt, but with significantly higher stakes than finding car keys. He knows these guys, or at least their methods. The dread in his gut is a familiar companion, but so is the cold, calculated fury simmering beneath the surface. It's time to remind everyone why he's Hutch. Hutch follows the cigarette butt trail, which, of course, leads to a clandestine rooftop meeting. Because where else do nefarious individuals conduct their business? A yoga studio? I think not. He scales the building with the grace of a ninja on espresso, the city lights painting a stark backdrop. He crashes through a skylight, a classic entrance, never gets old, landing amidst a dozen armed goons who were probably discussing their crypto investments. The element of surprise is Hutch's favorite weapon, and he wields it like a maestro conducting an orchestra of pain. The initial burst of gunfire is deafening, but Hutch is a blur of motion, deflecting, disarming, and delivering concussive blows. He uses a discarded fire axe with alarming proficiency, each swing punctuated by a sickening thud. The whiz of bullets, the grunt of impacts, the metallic clang as weapons are ripped from hands. It's a symphony of calculated destruction. One guy tries to tackle him, only to find himself introduced to the brick wall with extreme prejudice. Another attempts a knife attack, and Hutch, with a wry smirk, uses the guy's own momentum to send him careening off the edge of the roof, a tiny, distant splat following moments later. Brutal, absolutely. Effective? Undeniably. He leaves a path of devastation, grabbing a low-level thug by the collar. Where is the collector holding Marcus? He growls, his voice a low, dangerous rumble. The thug, practically wetting himself, points to a flickering neon sign across the district. The Black Rabbit Club. The Black Rabbit Club. Sounds like a cute children's book, right? Nope, it's a high-stakes, neon-drenched den of iniquity. A lavish underground establishment where illicit deals are brokered over expensive champagne and whispered threats. Hutch arrives, not subtle, but efficient, kicking open the ornate doors with a force that would impress a battering ram. The pulsing bass of the music, the laughter, the clinking glasses, it all screeches to a halt as every eye in the room swivels to him. He's dressed like he's about to rob the place, which, frankly, he kind of is, just for information. The enforcer is there, perched at a private booth, surrounded by her own muscle. She spots Hutch and a slow, predatory smile spreads across her face. Looks like the legend has finally emerged from his burrow. She purrs into a hidden mic, and suddenly, every waiter, every bouncer, every ostensibly civilian patron reveals a hidden weapon. The club instantly transforms into a war zone. Glass shatters, tables are overturned, and the once elegant chandeliers sway precariously as a full-scale brawl erupts. Hutch moves like liquid danger, dodging bullets, using velvet ropes as garrots, and turning champagne bottles into blunt instruments. The air fills with the crack of punches, the whiz of discarded cutlery, and the screams of people who clearly picked the wrong night for a quiet drink. He's a one-man wrecking crew, each movement precise, economic, and utterly devastating. He's looking for Marcus, and he's willing to take apart the entire club, brick by expensive brick, to find him. Amidst the wreckage of the Black Rabbit Club, Hutch finds a hidden elevator, because of course there's a hidden elevator. It descends into a sub-basement, a truly charming dungeon-esque chamber where Marcus is strapped into an antiquated, yet fully functional, electric chair. The enforcer is there, delivering a monologue about the company and the cash, clearly enjoying herself a little too much. Just as she's about to flip the switch, Hutch, ever the dramatic one, bursts in, taking out her remaining guards with two precise shots and a well-aimed chair leg. The whoosh of his movements, the thud of bodies, the frantic gasp from Marcus, it's a lot. The enforcer, clearly annoyed at the interruption, immediately engages Hutch. She's fast, agile, and surprisingly strong, wielding a pair of customized karambits with lethal grace. The metallic clang of blade on Hutch's improvised shield a sturdy tray, because versatility echoes in the small room. He aunties Marcus quickly, who, despite being battered and bruised, immediately grabs a loose pipe, ready to join the fray. "Took your sweet time, Hutch," Marcus grunts, a bloody but appreciative grin on his face. Traffic was murder. Hutch deadpans, deflecting a blade inches from his face. Together, they manage to subdue the enforcer, but she manages to escape in the ensuing chaos, leaving behind a crucial data chip that Hutch pockets. The information on it, he knows, will be invaluable, probably worth more than all the chandeliers he just decimated back in Marcus's surprisingly high-tech bunker beneath his pawn shop. Because every good character needs a secret lair, right? They analyze the data chip. It reveals the true identity of the collector, a former high-ranking company asset named Silas, who was thought to be dead for decades. Silas isn't just after the cash for money. He's seeking revenge on the company for betraying him, planning to use the cash's intel to expose and dismantle the entire organization, sending global intelligence into a chaotic freefall. The visual projection of Silas shows a chillingly calm, calculating man with a cold, unforgiving gaze. His voice, synthesized and unnervingly serene, outlines his plan for absolute systemic collapse. He wants to burn it all down, a true anarchist with the means to do it. Marcus, wincing as he rubs a bruised rib, explains that Silas was once an unparalleled strategist, a ghost in the shadows, but now he's gone full supervillain monologue, which is never a good sign. Hutch realizes the stakes are higher than just Marcus's life. This is about preventing global digital meltdown, which sounds way less exciting than punching people, but is probably more important. "We need help," Hutch states, looking at Marcus. "Someone who knows how to make a big entrance and a bigger mess." Marcus nods. Time to call the old men. The silence that follows is heavy, punctuated only by the whirring of Marcus's server. They know what calling the old men means, unleashing pure, unadulterated chaos. Hutch makes the call, and soon enough the cavalry arrives, or rather, the heavily armed, slightly cantankerous cavalry. Grandpa David, looking surprisingly spry for a man who probably remembers disco, rolls up in a souped-up classic car, followed by Harry, Who emerges from a nondescript van like a combat Santa Claus? Harry, armed to the teeth, immediately starts assessing the threat level of the garage door. "This better be good, Hutch," David says, a sly grin playing on his lips. "I was just about to beat my high score in solitaire." Marcus, still nursing his wounds, explains Silas's plan. Harry, ever the pragmatist, immediately starts outlining tactical deficiencies in Silas's theoretical defenses. The clatter of their gear, the drywood exchanged, the sheer volume of firepower they bring. It's a beautiful, terrifying sight. David, after a moment of thoughtful silence, says, "So, the old boy wants to burn the world down, eh? Sounds like someone needs a timeout." The plan is hatched quickly. Infiltrate Silas's primary data center, located in an old, supposedly decommissioned Soviet-era bunker, and stop him before he uploads the cache to the dark web. The banter is sharp, the camaraderie palpable, a subtle undercurrent of "we've done this before, and we're still awesome." The metallic clicking of their weapons being checked becomes a rhythmic, almost comforting sound. It's like a family reunion. If your family reunion involved an unhealthy amount of high-grade explosives and a complete disregard for international treaties. Silas's bunker is less decommissioned and more impenetrable fortress of doom. Nestled deep beneath a forgotten mountain range, it's bristling with surveillance and heavily armed guards. The team, however, isn't deterred. David, using a drone that looks suspiciously like a child's toy, maps out the exterior, humming a forgotten folk song. Harry, a master of explosives, plants charges with the delicacy of a concert pianist, the subtle click of the detonator almost inaudible. Hutch, meanwhile, takes out the exterior perimeter guards with a series of silent, efficient movements, a snapped neck here, a silenced headshot there. The whoosh of his movements, the muffled thuds, it's a grim ballet. The controlled explosion on the main entrance is less of a boom and more of a satisfying thump, shaking the earth and creating a breach. They pour in, a well-oiled machine of destruction. The interior is a labyrinth of concrete corridors and reinforced blast doors, each manned by a small army of Silas's elite mercenaries. The ensuing firefight is a glorious symphony of controlled chaos. Harry mows down a hallway of goons with a modified shotgun, the metallic clatter of spent shells echoing. David, surprisingly agile, takes out guards with a custom-made crossbow, each bolt finding its mark with a silent, deadly efficiency. Hutch, of course, is a force of nature, using every corner, every piece of cover to his advantage, delivering bone-shattering blows and expertly placed shots. The entire bunker shakes with the sheer volume of bad guys getting what's coming to them. It's like a deadly game of whack-a-mole. But the moles have automatic weapons and the whacker has a very bad attitude. The stench of gunpowder and ozone fills the air. A familiar perfume to these seasoned veterans. As Hutch and David push deeper into the bunker, they encounter a bottleneck, a long, narrow corridor swarming with Silas's best marks. It looks like a suicide run, but Harry, bless his trigger-happy heart, sees it as an opportunity. "Hold my beer, boys," he mutters, dual-wielding two ridiculously oversized shotguns. The ensuing scene is pure, unadulterated Harry. The percussive blast of the shotguns, the cries of pain, the rapid-fire reloading, it's all a blur. He moves with a manic glee, a living, breathing bullet sponge who dishes out way more than he takes. The sheer force of his movements, the almost primal roar he emits, it's genuinely terrifying for anyone on the wrong end of his barrels. He paints the walls with bad guys, each shot sending a merc flying back with a satisfying thud. The metallic clatter of his empty shells on the concrete floor is almost rhythmic, a deadly beat. He clears the entire corridor in what feels like seconds, a trail of discarded weapons and unconscious bodies in his wake. When the dust settles, He looks back at Hutch and David, a wide, slightly psychotic grin on his face. "Anybody got a biscuit?" he asks, wiping a smudge of something from his cheek. It's exactly the kind of unhinged brilliance you expect from Harry. The sound of distant alarms, though, reminds them this isn't over yet. They've only cleared a path, not finished the war. Silas isn't going to roll over easily, and he has a few more tricks up his sleeve, like perhaps a giant robotic guard dog, or maybe just more angry dudes with guns, just when they think they've got a clear path. Silas, ever the meticulous planner, springs a trap. Hutch and David find themselves in a seemingly innocuous server room, but as soon as they step in, a web of pulsating red laser grid snaps into existence, effectively sealing them in. David, moving to disable what he thinks is the control panel, accidentally trips a secondary sensor, and his section of the floor retracts, dropping him into a sub-level room filled with automated turrets. The metallic whirring of the turrets powering up, the sudden clatter of his fall, the muttered expletives from David. It's a tense moment. Hutch is left above, looking down at his father, who's now dodging a barrage of plasma fire, using his walking stick as a surprisingly effective deflector. "A little help here, son," David shouts, his voice a mix of genuine peril and playful exasperation. Hutch immediately sets to work, frantically trying to bypass the laser grid controls, but Silas's system is ridiculously complex, designed to buy him time. The whiz of the turret's plasma bolts, the sizzling impact against the walls, the desperate grunts from David, it's a symphony of impending doom. This isn't just a simple security system. It's a masterfully designed death trap, slowing them down, giving Silas exactly what he needs: precious minutes. Hutch knows he needs to act fast, or his dad might just become very, very charbroiled. The cold, mechanical hum of the turrets feels like a countdown to something truly unpleasant. Just as Hutch finally figures out the laser grid's weak point, wouldn't you know it, the Enforcer makes her grand reentrance. She descends from a maintenance shaft like a disgruntled bat, her karambits glinting in the emergency lights. "You thought you could get rid of me that easily, Mansell?" She sneers, her voice a low growl. The ensuing fight is a whirlwind of sharp steel and blunt force. The metallic ring of her blades against the pipes Hutch pulls from the ceiling, the rapid succession of his blocks and counters, the sheer speed of their movements. It's a brutal dance. She's fueled by revenge, attacking with a frenzied ferocity, each strike carrying genuine malice. Hutch, meanwhile, is trying to fight smart, protect David, and find a way to disable those blasted turrets all at once. It's like trying to juggle chainsaws while solving a Rubik's Cube, the whiz of her blades coming dangerously close to his face. The satisfying crunch when he lands a well-placed elbow. The breathless grunts from both of them. It's a fight for survival. She's surprisingly tenacious, a human pit bull who refuses to stay down. He manages to disarm one of her blades, using her own momentum to slam her against a console, sending sparks flying. But she just rolls with it, grabbing another hidden knife, clearly having a knife for every occasion philosophy. This isn't just about winning. It's about surviving long enough to save the day, which, let's be honest, is Hutch's perpetual state of being, finally, after dispatching the Enforcer again. But this time with a satisfying thud into a very solid-looking wall and freeing David. Hutch and his dad reach Silas's inner sanctum. It's less a room and more a cathedral of data, dominated by massive, humming server racks that pulse with ominous blue light. Silas stands at the center, a stark figure in a pristine suit, overseeing a colossal holographic projection of the world, dotted with flashing red points representing vulnerable data nodes. He's surprisingly calm, almost serene, as he watches the countdown to his global reboot tick down. "Ah, the legendary Mr. Mansell," Silas says, his synthesized voice echoing slightly. Always one to spoil a perfectly orchestrated apocalypse, he explains his twisted philosophy. He believes the company corrupted the world, and only by burning it all down can it be rebuilt. It's the classic villain with a point, but still totally evil trope. The room hums with the electric energy of impending chaos, and the occasional clang from David checking his rifle adds a touch of grounded reality to the otherwise futuristic setting. Hutch, ever the man of few words, just stares at him, a silent promise of pain in his eyes. He's not here for a philosophical debate. He's here to stop the digital Armageddon, preferably with as few dramatic speeches as possible. The tension in the room is thick, a palpable silence before the storm. This is it, the final confrontation, and the fate of the internet, and probably a few government secrets, hangs in the balance. Just as Silas initiates the final phase of his upload, Harry bursts into the room, having navigated his own gauntlet of traps and henchmen. "I knew I should have brought my own biscuits," he grumbles, immediately diving to a console. He's the tech wizard of the group, a savant with circuits and code, and he immediately starts trying to hack into Silas's system. The rapid-fire click-clack of his fingers on the keyboard, the intense concentration on his face, the occasional frustrated grunt, it's a race against time. Silas, meanwhile, has initiated automated defenses, sparking wires, collapsing ceiling panels, and energy barriers that flicker into existence. The entire bunker starts to shake with a low rumble, the sounds of distant explosions indicating that Silas's entire setup is on the verge of self-destructing, taking the cash with it, along with everyone inside. The air crackles with energy, the metallic clang of falling debris, the desperate whirring of failing systems. It's pure, unadulterated chaos. Harry is battling not just code, but an actual physical assault by the bunker itself. He shouts instructions to Hutch and David, who are now fending off Silas's last line of defense, a small, but heavily armed squad of loyalists. The constant whiz of bullets, the concussive thuds of their impacts, the urgent shouts, it's a cacophony of impending doom. He needs more time, but time, as always, is a luxury they don't have. Silas just watches, a cold, detached amusement on his face, enjoying the spectacle of his grand design unfolding, with David covering Harry and dealing with the remaining guards. Hutch finally turns his full attention to Silas, and let me tell you, Silas isn't just a brainiac. He's surprisingly capable in a fight, probably because he trained all the other bad guys. He fights with a cold, calculated efficiency, each movement designed to disable rather than merely wound. The air in the room crackles with the energy of sparking servers, and the metallic clang of their fist, connecting with alarming force echoes through the chamber. This isn't a graceful martial arts display. It's a brutal, street-level brawl between two incredibly dangerous men. Hutch, fueled by righteous anger and the need to save the world, goes for raw power, delivering bone-shattering blows. Silas, however, uses his environment, swinging a loose pipe, deflecting with a detached server panel. The whoosh of their movements, the grunts of exertion, the sickening thud of impacts, it's a visceral, no-holds-barred slugfest. Hutch, with a sly grin, uses one of Silas's own evasive maneuvers against him, slamming him into a sparking server rack. Silas recoils, his usually serene face contorted in a rare moment of pain. But he's tenacious, springing back with a desperate counterattack, a glint of genuine fury in his eyes. The fight spills across the room, knocking over consoles, sending sparks flying like deadly fireworks. It's personal, primal, and incredibly satisfying to watch two masters of mayhem go at it, each using every trick in their respective, blood-stained playbooks. Neither man is backing down, and the fate of the company, and possibly the internet, hangs on who can land that final, decisive blow, just as Harry lets out a triumphant shout. Got it. Disabling primary protocols. And Silas's holographic world map flickers. Silas, in a last, desperate act, lunges for a self-destruct button, intending to take the entire system and the cash with him. Hutch, seeing the move, knows he only has one shot. With a guttural roar, he slams Silas, not onto the button, but directly into the main server array itself. The sickening crunch of Silas hitting the metal, followed by a violent electrical surge, is deafening. Sparks fly, systems overload, and the entire room plunges into a cacophony of alarms, klaxons, and the metallic clang of failing machinery. The screens go dark, the holographic map dissolves into static. Silas, fried by the overload, slumps lifelessly against the sparking server. The tremor of the bunker intensifies, a deep, resonating hum signaling its imminent collapse. Harry yells, "We gotta go. This whole place is going up." The whoosh of escaping gas, the crackle of burning wires, the smell of ozone and burning plastic. It's a sensory overload. Hutch doesn't even pause, grabbing Harry and David, urging them towards the exit. The job is done, but the escape is far from over. This is going to be a close shave, even for these seasoned professionals who have a rather unhealthy habit of finding themselves in collapsing structures. It's a good thing they've all got great upper body strength. With Silas neutralized and his plan thwarted, the bunker begins its dramatic, self-destructive implosion. The entire structure groans and shudders, the metallic clang of collapsing support beams, the rumble of falling rock, and the whoosh of bursting pipes creating a symphony of imminent doom. Our heroes, ever the pragmatists, immediately shift gears from destroy to escape. They race through the labyrinthine corridors, debris raining down around them like a particularly aggressive hailstorm. Harry, despite his usual bravado, is surprisingly agile, dodging falling concrete with the grace of a caffeinated squirrel. David, his face grim, uses his tactical expertise to navigate the crumbling passages, barking orders, "Left, now, watch that support." Hutch, ever the protector, covers their rear, taking out any remaining bewildered guards who try to impede their escape. Each impact a sickening thud against the metallic groans of the bunker. The air is thick with dust and the acrid smell of burning electronics. Explosions echo behind them, shaking the very ground they run on. They're jumping over chasms, sliding under collapsing doors, and generally proving that old guys and middle-aged dads can still outrun a collapsing doomsday bunker. The roar of the implosion is deafening, a relentless force pushing them forward. They burst out into the daylight, gasping for breath, just as the mountain above the bunker collapses in a spectacular cloud of dust and rock, sealing away Silas's twisted legacy and the cash forever. They made it out by the skin of their teeth, covered in grime and glory, standing on a ridge overlooking the now settled dust cloud where the bunker once stood. The team shares a moment of quiet, almost reverent silence. The mission is complete. The company, whose secret Silas sought to expose, remains intact, its delicate ecosystem undisturbed for now. Well, David says, breaking the silence, "That was a fun Tuesday." Harry just grunts, already checking his gear for damage. Hutch simply stares at the landscape, the wind whipping his hair, a look of quiet resolve on his face. He knows this isn't truly over. The whispers of his past, the shadow of